Before I start this video, I just want to thank you for watching my content here on YouTube. We did hit a massive milestone recently, 2.5 million total views on the channel, which is ridiculous. The next milestone is 10,000 subscribers. We're closing in. We have got a stat here on my analytics. As you can see, 62% of my viewers who have watched my content are not subscribed to my videos. It does make a massive difference. It is free. You just click the subscribe button, you get notified when my content goes live. Simple as that, guys. If you watch my videos on a regular basis and you are entertained, please think about hitting the subscribe button. It does make a massive difference to someone's YouTube channel. Thank you very much for listening. Well, now we're going to get on to the video. Hello survivors, and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video. In this video we're going to be taking a first look at Aaron, who is the character for the Shattered Spring event. And he's going to require 2 5-star versions to be upgraded, and then those 6 stars being handed in once maxed out for the S-Class version. Just like any other S-Class character that we've had in the past, that is how Aaron's going to be. Now we'll take a look at the visuals of 5-star Aaron, and this is what he looks like. He's got like a walker mask attached to his belt. He's got the knife, and it's Aaron the Whisperer War. Visually kind of cool, just kind of like basic. Obviously as a 5-star, not going to be too extravagant. But as a 6-star, he gets upgraded a little bit. Obviously been through the wars a little bit, or he's in the war right now, as it is said, the Whisperer War. So he gets upgraded. Again, no hat, no backpack. They're going outside the box. I like it. I do like it. Now as an S-Class character, he does visually look the same as a 6-star. But of course those stats get massively increased. Everything else gets boosted to the highest point it can be. S-Class is the best we can get right now, and I'll go through it. S-Class Aaron, he has 3,601 attack, 5,003 defense, and 3,516 HP. So very high defense rating. If he is to be a more defensive character, you would want to boost that HP a bit more. The trait is fast, and the role is considered a support character. Now we'll look at the rush. It is Demotivating Slashes. It's a 58 AP cost rush. Deal 350% damage to up to 3 enemies. Those enemies get minus 25% attack for 3 turns and minus 20 AP. Now for a 58 AP rush, this has got quite a lot going on. 3 things: some damage to 3 characters, those characters also getting a damage debuff and also losing AP. But this isn't really that great. Obviously you don't really need a S-Class character who hasn't got that high attack stat doing percentage damage. It probably would have been better if it was maybe like Maim or Bleed or something else, just so it had a bit more utility. If it was Bleed, for instance, he could be used in potential Bleed teams, that sort of thing. But Bleed always works regardless. Like if he only did Bleed and you didn't have a Bleed team, that damage would still do normal damage, just like percentage damage does, but at least there would be more variation on the teams that he could be taking in. That part of the rush kind of reminds me of Vincent way back in the day, who had very low attack stat but still had a triple hit on his rush. Not that great, if I'm honest. The second part, however, is okay. Those enemies get minus 25% attack. Probably not the greatest it could have been. If that was like 40 or 50%, that would have been a bit nicer, of course. And minus 20 AP, again, it's just a little bit of control, nothing too spectacular. He is mainly seemingly going to be used on a defense team, and a lot of attack teams do run with commands, so you'd be able to counter that pretty easily. So his rush is okay, but it definitely could have had some nicer things in there, in my opinion. I think when it comes to percentage damage, you need to probably dodge on support characters having that, especially if they have a low attack stat. If you do want them to do damage, they need to have something where they don't need to raise their base attack. Like I said, Maim, Bleed, that sort of thing. Now when it comes to the active skill, this is where I would say the biggest letdown for Aaron comes in. It's Impair, Elusive, and AP gain. It has an initial cooldown of 3, cooldown of 4, number of uses 5, so it's a little bit slower than the 2, 3, 5 that we normally get in the cooldowns. Up to 3 enemies get Impair for 2 turns. This character and 1 other teammate get Elusive for 2 turns. This character gets 35% AP. If that was a turn 2 active skill, it would have been actually pretty good. But being a turn 3 means he's either going to have to do it instead of his rush, and on defense teams that just doesn't happen. You do not have people do their active skills over their rushes if they have their rushes. So he's going to be a turn 4 active skill. Will he survive that long? That is the biggest question. You need to get these off so early, and there's nothing to speed up active skills at the moment. If that was a turn 2, cooldown 3, you know, the normal cooldowns for an active skill, this would have actually been pretty good. 3 enemies getting impaired for 2 turns. I mean, that could have even been reduced to 1 turn, and it still would have been really good. So I think there's a bit of a miss on this, especially on a a defense team character. Now on an attack team character, it would have been okay having that initial cooldown of 3, because then you could decide, am I going to rush? Am I going to do his active? The active could obviously just impair 3 people, but because he hasn't really got much going on offensively, you're not really going to take him on an attack team. I mean, unless you actually are going to take him purely for control, or if he was a good leader for an attack team, then you could potentially take him on an attack team. But just as it isn't sitting well as a defense team character. It just seems a little bit of a miss by 1 turn. And this is where we come across to the leader skill. Again, a little bit of a miss here. All fast and tough teammates get 40% HP and 40% defense. This is exactly the same as the leader skill that Lydia has, that Garrett has. These are pretty good leader skills in terms of having percentage gain weapons, because these are the only 2 traits that have good directed percentage gains. You have fast characters that have 8% to everybody, and then you have tough characters that have 20% to self. So you can kind of understand and calculate AP gains there with those weapons. The main issue is I don't necessarily think we were actually needing this, because we pretty much had this already with Angel. She could also be a fast and tough leader because she's a rainbow leader, and the difference between 40% HP and days for 1 turn isn't that big a difference. Like, sure, it's going to be a little bit more tanky on this team, but I mean, it doesn't make that big a difference, does it really? So I think we kind of would have been better off having an attack leader in this situation. Even if he wasn't great offensively and more of a support character, if he had 40% attack and a huge AP on attack, that active would instantly become actually useful, because he would be able to do it on that turn 3 on an attack team. You'd be able to say, hey, I'm going to impair 3 people for 2 turns, so that would be good. Defense team, not so good. So again, the combination is a bit of a miss on this character, unfortunately. I think he will still be useful with those percentage gain teams. Like I said, he'll be exactly the same sort of use as Angel, and on paper I actually think Angel's a better character than him, because she's much better made. She does counter something that's quite important. AP gains on like Arav, Dr. Stevens is very frustrating if her active goes off, and her trauma is literally the best in the game. So if you were going to decide which character am I going to use on a team, Aaron or Angel, it's most likely going to be Angel. Now, it does have an attached weapon. It is Aaron's sturdy machete. It is actually pretty decent in terms of the stat base, 30% HP. You probably would have wanted defense just because that is his highest stat. That would have given him a bigger boost, but it's not too bad. He will get a bit of a HP boost because of this, and obviously that his HP is lower, so that's great. Now, medium bonus to AP when attacking is the upgrade slot. You'd obviously want to go for huge AP on attack. And then in the last slot, it says, when being attacked, and 25% chance for all teammates to gain 15% bonus HP. So quite the window in terms of AP gain if he was to be used on a defense team. Obviously, bonus HP is nice. It would go to everybody, but it's only a 1 in 4. So like if you were to attack with all 5 teammates, you're most likely going to have 1, maybe 2 on average give 15% bonus HP to all teammates. Sure, that is going to be disappointing, 30% extra HP effectively, but if you're running a certain team, for instance, if you're running a bleed team, you don't care because that bypasses bonus HP. So there are obviously counters and issues with this. And considering Fast have one of the best defensive weapons in Absolute Defense, and the Absolute Defense and Slow, they're now on the tier 4, it's much worse. This is much worse than that. So you definitely would want to upgrade that. And to get that in his hands, you're either going to have to spend, obviously, armory tokens to do the tier 4, or you're going to have to make this a 5-star weapon to swap 5-star weapon to his hands, and that's very expensive at the moment. And I just don't think Aaron as a character is worth the kind of investment that you're going to need to do. Armory tokens, gear, veteran rings, all this stuff to make him, as shiny as possible, basically. I don't think it's worth that. There are better characters out there, and the limited amount of resources that we have to use, I don't think this is the best character you can use them on, pretty much. Now, when it comes to the Shattered Spring event, Aaron will cost 5,000 of the collection items from tournaments. I just don't think it's worth it versus what you can get otherwise. For 800 points, you can get 4 platinum mods. For 1,400 points, you can get 14 GPS and canteens mixed. Versus this, is just definitely not worth it. And even if you've got the characters in place ready to utilize his leader skill, Angel is already a better leader because she has got a better kit. She's got a better rush, she's got a better active skill. She is superior in pretty much every single way. The only argument you would have is just the fact that Aaron is going to be a bit more tanky as a leader, and all of the characters that are around him are going to be a little bit more harder to take down. But there's still arguments for Angel being a better leader just because of that first turn days. So all in all, I am really kind of disappointed with Aaron. I think there was a much better potential for him to be an attack leader. If his active was turn 2, it would have been definitely a bit of a harder decision, but because his active is turn 3, it makes him a waste on defense. You're not going to get the AP required on an attack team. It's going to be too late, and overall just misses the mark for me. And I do normally pick up characters, at least on one of my regions, but I think I'm most likely going to give this guy a skip altogether, unfortunately, as he's going to add pretty much nothing to my roster. But do tell me what you think about Aaron. Will he be slotting into your team? Do you think he could work? Have I missed something? It could potentially be something I missed here. Do let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for tuning into my video, guys, and as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.